Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and today we are doing the Wizard of Metal episode on on Wishmaster by Nightwish. So thank you everyone for participating in the poll, at least those of you that did. I know that metal music is a bit of a touchy subject for some of you. Some of you don't know it very well, some of you don't like it very much. And trust me, I get it. It's not necessarily for everyone. But for those of you who are just sitting on the fence about it or just aren't sure if it's for you, I implore you, give it a chance, especially with some of the music that I've been posting here. It's not all just, raspy vocals and just harsh screaming metal and whatnot. There's a lot of metal that's actually really interesting. And I think some of the best ways of getting into it are with bands that aren't just, heavy for heavy's sake. And I think there's no better way of going about that than by looking at some bands that are, not just that. And one of my bigger introductions to the world of heavy metal outside of Metallica is actually this band, Nightwish. And that actually started with the album Once, and what really drew me in were the songs Wish I Had an Angel and Planet Hell. That's not what we're discussing today. Today we're discussing Wishmaster, another one of those songs that really caught me. And actually, this one was brought to us not necessarily by me, but by one of my longtime viewers. So thank you very much for the suggestion. Let's move on to the build. So when I was doing the research for Wishmaster, it turns out that there's a lot of fantasy focus in this particular song. Most specifically, there's a couple of references to Tolkien and the Silmarillion, which I discussed in a previous Blind Guardian Wizard of Metal. But more importantly, there's a lot of references to Dragonlance in Wishmaster. And a lot of them come down to the character of Raistlin Marjorie, or it might just be Margere, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, and the cast of characters centered around him. So, in order to build this run, I decided to look up who Raistlin is, and at least in the Dragonlance universe, he's described as one of the most powerful mages who's ever been. He was also described as a bit of an anti-hero, so, dark and edgy for the sake of dark and edgy's sake, I guess. Since I haven't read the books, but I know some of you have, and I know my roommate is a big fan of the Dragonlance series, so he'll probably be able to help me identify some of these things. So, in the vein of powerful wizard and, kind of darker, conflicted anti-hero, I decided to go with Distortion Beam, Bouncing Surge, Chaotic Rift, and Air Spinner. It was very open-ended as to what I could take, and I had a hard time really putting a lot together for this one. So I kind of took a little bit of liberty. I hope that isn't a huge problem for anyone. And since it doesn't largely matter what is this book? Rule Book of Thieves. Oh, fuck that. Alright, so let's go. Now, as for Nightwish themselves, they've been through a number of different personnel changes that we're going to discuss when we get into things. But for now, the relevant facts are they are a Finnish symphonic power metal group. Not only that, but they are one of Finland's biggest deals. Like, they've been at the top of their game in Finland for quite a while. Now, to actually give you guys some more information, let me go ahead and pull up some of that information that I found about them. Boom. Nightwish. Band. Here we go. So, pulled pretty directly from online information sources, Nightwish is a Finnish symphonic power metal band from, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Kaiti, Finland. The band was formed in 1996 by lead songwriter and keyboardist Tuomas Holopainen, guitarist Empu, I'm hoping that's pronounced Vuorinen, and former lead singer Tarja Turunen. There's a lot about Tarja Turunen that I'm planning on bringing up today, as she's one of the band's more controversial departures, as there is a lot that happened there. The band soon picked up drummer Jukka, I believe it's Nevalainen, and the bassist Sami, I believe it's Vanska. And that was after the release of their debut album, Angels Fall First. In 2001, Vanska was replaced by Marko Haitala, who also took over the male vocalist role previously filled by Holopainen or guest singers. So, and like I said, this seems like a great jumping on point for those who are very unfamiliar with metal or find what has been defined as metal to them to be uninspired or just plain old not good. Like, there's a lot to love in Nightwish's compositions. What is this, Flame Strike? I kind of didn't want to get rid of my basic, but Alright, I was expecting him to throw another rock at me, so I was preparing to dodge out of the way, and then the rock never came, so it just looked like I was doing that to be edgy and be like, oh, teleport behind you. You don't know this, but you're already dead. And no, I was actually trying to play it smart. Oh, and that was an unnecessary dodge. Sometimes dodging too much or dodging without reason can get you hit too, so keep that in mind, fellow wizards. Oh god, I hate these stupid barrels. Go away. Let's not forget this. And I don't know how many of you remember this little piece of information that I brought up, but actually I had... Okay, this is not fair. I goddamn hate those stupid buzzsaw things so much. Like, you have no idea. They completely ruin just about any plan just by having a constant, active, rotating hitbox. They are not fun to deal with. I hate them so much. Well, once again, Iris is refusing to help me because, why should she? Now, for what it's worth, why am I doing this? I should be looking at a map. For what it's worth, Tarja Turunen was not Nightwish's only notable departure. Most recently, and more specifically, January 12th, 2021, Marko Haitala left the band. But I figure that is something that I should save for another time, because frankly, there's a lot that I can get out of discussing just Nightwish and the longevity of their career. Like, they've been around since 96, 97. I believe it was specific. I believe they formed in 96, but their first album was released in 97. which makes sense. Oh, so many things here that I want. Okay, well, we're taking this because that's going to have long-term effects for the rest of the run. We're taking this because, you know, I do have a little bit of critical hit bonus, and I feel the dice will just kind of perk things right the hell on up. Now, there's basically no chance that I'll also be able to afford the tapping gloves, but that's okay. We've got ourselves quite a build going on here. Oh, look! Something that I could just get rid of when I have the opportunity. Awesome. Fantastic. And we're moving on. Now, one of the things that Nightwish has always been well known for is their female lead vocalist. And it does sound very striking and very pretty, especially when you have a very talented female vocalist like the very classically trained Tarja Turunen. And some of them... Oh, there's our first trigger of Dice of the Nemesis. That just completely threw me off. Like, oh, things are happening. Oh, dice! A game. Don't get me all excited. I'm trying to talk about Tarya right now. And for those of you that aren't sure why I'm pronouncing it like that, I mean, those of you who are from the kind of northern parts of Europe where she hails from will understand. But keep in mind, the J in her name, which I should explain, her name is spelled Tarja. Iris still wants nothing to do with me, you hateful bitch. But keep in mind, there are, like, even if you aren't familiar with how the grammatical system of kind of Finnish and, you know, Northern European language works, remember the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The name of the handler is Mjolnir, not Mjolnir. So that in and of itself should be enough to explain. But for those of you who still need it spelled out for you, the J is pronounced like a Y. Kind of like how in Spanish, the two L's is typically pronounced with a Y sound. Oh, I'm smart. Thank you, Dice of the Nemesis. And we'll give you the token. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And yes, there are things up here that I want to go look for. Such as the boss room. Hey! Now, we do have Zeal coming up, so that Ice Spear will be useful. But you know what else would be useful? Upgraded Air Spinner. Upgraded Bouncing Surge. How about it, Iris? You want to stop being such a hateful bitch? And there's nothing else here that's really catching my attention. Like, even the shark mask is like, yeah, that's nice, but simultaneously, I'm not sure it's one of those things that's going to greatly improve the run. Not without something to help me boost my signature gauge. Oh wait, I have two things that are helping me boost my signature gauge. Hold on. Maybe that is worth it. Although one of them is just gaining chaos gems, which half the time happens after a battle, not in the middle of it, so I take that with a grain of salt. Jade's Jewel Tiara is obviously more so there for the power boost and not necessarily for the signature charge. The signature charge is just a bonus, and doesn't often amount to much. Smack those trees. Hold on. One final room. Oh, wait, there's probably nothing up here now that I look at the map. Oh, that's what I get for making bad assumptions. Now, at the time that I had heard about Tarja's departure from Nightwish, I had kind of thought, okay, she must have left of her own volition, and things just kind of progressed. There were musical differences. I wasn't aware that there was an open letter, and that her manager, who I'm going to look up his name right now, because I had this pulled up. Now I need to find it. Which, by the way, she is a heavy metal singer and songwriter. She is a soprano with a three octave range, which is that's not bad. There are women out there who have a better range, but she's certainly not bad. I would actually go on to say I think she's very talented, and I think she has a lot going. She has a solo career right now, which, again, she's very good, although she's definitely straying away from that heavy metal thing, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So, to give you an idea, Turunen married Argentine businessman Marcelo Cabuli. That was on the 31st of December 2002. So, Marcelo is from Buenos Aires, and that's something to know. Like, I don't think it's, like, the most important thing in the world, but, it's a thing. Now, I'm going to look up what happened here so I can tell you all about it. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2001. She was let go from Nightwish in 2005. Sorry, I'm just making sure. Oof, that is a long open letter. Alright, so it's I'm trying to find some of the different information that I had found about this, because I want to make sure that I'm getting the information correct. Because it's more than just the open letter that's important. There's, the timing and the reasoning behind it. And now the reasoning can definitely be explained by the letter. Here we go. Now I'm gonna talk. I've been sitting still long enough. I'm gonna go talk about that after I beat Atlas here. That wasn't hard. Like, even a little bit. Thunder Drop. Man, I've got a lot of lightning going for me. I'll take it, just, it does fill a void. And on to Zeal. Alright, so according to Tarja herself, she kind of wanted to keep her departure from Nightwish a more private thing, but that wasn't going to be, because Holopainen decided that he wanted to pen an open letter to her about this, because it had been something that had been brewing for a while. There were disagreements between her and the band, and a lot of people actually speculated that her marriage to Marcello was part of what happened, very similarly to how Yoko Ono drove a wedge between John Lennon and the rest of the members of the Beatles, to draw a comparison. So even though she was looking to kind of keep things kind of behind the scenes, as she'd been spending a lot of time at musical schools and universities, learning how to better enhance her voice, and take the next big step in her career. Like, she was just trying to better herself. Now, likely part of that was spurred. Oh, what am I doing? Now, I'm gonna say that some of that was likely spurred on by Marcello himself, kind of saying, "Oh, you need to better yourself and move on." And I think part of that, as could be easily speculated, is that even in countries like Finland, where metal is much more of an actual force and people take it as a more serious art form, there's still a bit of stigma of, "Oh, you're just the heavy metal artist. Oh, who cares?" And I think that's a real shame that even in a place like Finland, that's still a thing. And as I've stated multiple times, part of the reason why I wanted to do Wizard of Metal is because there's that unfair stigma against heavy metal and the people who not only perform it, but the people who enjoy it as well. Like, to the point where some of Tarja's solo efforts have been more classical outings instead of the symphonic metal stuff that she's been known for. And I think it's sad that someone is telling her that her art doesn't have as much worth just because it's metal in nature. Okay, you guys are making me mad. Okay, can we not be complete assholes here? God, I hate rogues. I like that. That's what you jerks get. Still haven't found Iris. I'm hoping she's feeling a little bit less hateful. And no, she's not. Considering that I'm kind of getting my ass kicked, let me not do that. Alright, so after I fight Crush Colossus here, I'll go over that open letter from Thomas Holopainen and discuss how that affected things. And box escape key, why not? So, to now describe the timing of it, Finnish power metal act Nightwish has sacked its female vocalist Tarja Turunen. So keep in mind that this article is coming from back in 2005, 2006. Let's see. The decision to cut Tarja loose had been brewing for some time, but when it came, the dismissal was brutal and very public, which, as I said, is something that she didn't necessarily want. A blunt open letter on the band's website, which was also given to Turunen after the Heartwall Arena show. And I'm going to go into the actual letter itself. The thing that really kind of kills it for me is the arena that they had, or the show that they had played. It was the sold out Heartwall Arena concert, which happened. It was on a Friday, and it was recorded for the live CD/DVD release, but it was titled "The End of an Era." The irony there is huge and can't really be overstated just how crazy that is. Now, as for the open letter itself, it's long, so I want to make sure that I have enough time to read this. Like I said, this was not only posted on the band's website, but was also given to Tarja in writing. So, and I said, this is brutal. And like I said, this is something I didn't know about Nightwish, and this is the band that I was able to convince my mom that, and keep in mind, she grew up in the Motown era, and I was able to convince her that heavy metal was worth a damn with Nightwish. So this came as kind of like a blunt hammer to the face. But it goes, "Dear Tarja, it's time to choose whether the story of Nightwish ends here, or whether it will still continue an undetermined period of time. We've been working with this creation for 9 years, and we are not ready to give up yet. Nightwish is a way of life, something to live for, and we're certain we can't let it go. Equally certain is the fact that we cannot go on with you and Marcelo any longer. During the last year, something sad happened, which I've been going over in my head every single day, morning, and night. Your attitude and behavior don't go with Nightwish anymore. There are characteristics I would never have believed to see in my old dear friend. People who don't talk to each other for a year do not belong in the same band. We are involved in an industry where the business side of things is a necessary evil and something to worry about all the time. We are also a band which has always done music from the heart, because of friendship and the music itself. The mental satisfaction should always be more important than money. Nightwish is a band, it's an emotion. To you, unfortunately, business, money, and things that have nothing to do with these emotions have become much more important. You feel that you have sacrificed yourself and your musical career for Nightwish rather than thinking what it has given to you. This attitude was clearly shown to me in the 2 things you said to me in an airplane in Toronto. I don't need Nightwish anymore, and Remember, Thomas, that I could leave this band at any time, giving you only 1 day's warning in advance. I simply can't write any more songs for you to sing. You have said yourself that you are merely a guest musician in Nightwish. Now that visit ends, and we will continue Nightwish with a new female vocalist. We are sure this is an equally big relief to you as it is for us. We have all been feeling bad long enough. You told us that no matter what, the next Nightwish album will be your last one. However, the rest of us want to continue as long as the fire burns. There's no sense in doing that next album with you either. The four of us have been going over this situation countless times, and we have realized that this is the thing we want to do in life. It's all we can do. In December 2004, in Germany, you said that you will never tour again for more than 2 weeks at a time. You also said that we can forget about US and Australia because the fees and the size of the venues are too small. In her defense, that is kinda true, especially here in the US where even big bands like Sabaton don't get the venue sizes that they're worth. In interviews, I've mentioned that if Tarja leaves, that would be the end of the band. I understand that people will think this way. Nightwish is, however, a scenery of my soul, and I'm not ready to let go because of one person. A person who wants to focus her creativity to somewhere else, a person whose values don't match mine. We were never bothered by the fact that you didn't participate in writing/arranging songs. You never in nine years came to rehearse the songs with us before going to the studio. Not the fact that while on tour you always wanted to fly, separately from us with your husband. Not the fact that you are an undisputable front image of the band. We accepted and felt okay about everything except greed, underestimating the fans, and breaking promises. It was agreed by the five of us that Nightwish would be the priority in everything that we do during 2004 and 2005. Still, so many things were more important to you. The ultimate example being the already sold-out show in Oslo, which you wanted to cancel because you needed to rehearse for your solo concerts, meet friends, and go to the movies. Those were the words Marcello used in an email explaining the cancellation. This being just one example of so many. I couldn't think of a worse way of being selfish and dismissing our fans. Nightwish is a way of life and a job with many obligations, to each other and to the fans. With you, we can't take care of those duties anymore. Deep within, we don't know which one of you drove us to this point. Somehow Marcello has changed you from the lovely girl you were into a diva who doesn't think or act the way she used to. You are too sure of your irreplaceableness and status. It's obvious that you blame your stress and misery on us four, and you think we don't respect or listen to you. Believe us, we have always had the uppermost respect towards you and as a wonderful vocalist and as a friend. And very often during the past couple of years, the plans were made according to your decisions only. You were always the only one who wanted more money from the shows. This compensation and more money from everything attitude is the fact that we are most disappointed of. We wish that from now on you will listen to your heart instead of Marcello. Cultural differences combined with greed, opportunism, and love is a dangerous combination. Do not wither yourself. This decision is not something we are especially proud of, but you gave us no choice. The gap between us is too wide, and the decision is made by us four unanimously. We are beyond the point where things could be settled by talking. All the best for your life and career. Tuomas Holopainen, Empu name I can't pronounce, but I'm going to try anyway, Vorinen, Jukka Nevalainen, and Marko Haitala. P.S. This is an open letter for everybody. Like I said, that letter was long, and it was pretty especially brutal in certain places. Like, reading that kind of really drove home the point that that there is definitely a lot going on behind the scenes that the fans weren't aware of. But I'll leave that to you. Does the problem sound like it's coming from Tarja's end of things, from her husband Marcello, or does it sound like the problem came from from overly high expectations from the others. Now, as per usual, I will... Really? You're still not going to upgrade Air Spinner or Bouncing Surge? Come on, woman. So, you can take that in whatever direction you want, but no matter how you look at it, it is harsh. Now, does that ruin the way that I look at Nightwish? Not at all. Artists are going to run into disagreements constantly. That is not anything that I hold against anyone. But yeah, that's a harsh way to end a career. Which obviously no, it didn't. Tarja is still around, is still doing solo albums and performing. She's still out there doing her thing. It's just she's no longer doing it as a part of Nightwish. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing is entirely up to you. Nightwish would go on to have two new lead singers in the form of Annette Wilson and Fleur Jansen. And whereas I will say both women are incredibly talented, I think very few people would argue that they just don't necessarily have Tarja's range. And you could think differently about that. Fleur Jansen is, after all, or I should say was, a part of other power metal performances. She was actually part of a band, what are they, Forever After? Like, I'm not sure that's the name of the other band that she was a part of, but I mean, she's been a part of the metal scene, so she was a pretty obvious first choice for... Oh, calm down, birds. So she was a pretty obvious first choice after the departure of Annette. Or it might have been after Forever, I think. To be fair, this probably isn't going to be the only time I talk about Nightwish on Wizard of Metal. As I said, this band has a special place because I haven't been big about this, but I was kind of a mama's boy, so to have her acknowledge that my music was good and that she actually liked it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me at the time, and it still means a lot to me now, because that was... And that's one of those things that you always figure people are too set in their ways to understand anything new, but my mom definitely did understand, and it meant a lot to me. It really did. And I must say, later in life, I now understand why she liked Motown funk so much. But I mean, it's the same reason why I listen to music. It's artistic, it's soulful, it's something that speaks to me on a more primal level, so to speak. So, hopefully that helps a lot of you understand how everything works. At least in my head and in my heart. So, all of that history about Nightwish is well and good, but you're probably saying, hey, Dark Sage, weren't you going to talk about the song Wishmaster? Like, wasn't that the whole point of this? And you're not wrong. Sweet. That was a great miss. There we go. And no Earth Stomp agent for me. We'll move on. So, like I said, the song Wishmaster itself is essentially a love letter to the fantasy world of Dragonlance, and somewhat to Tolkien as well. I mean, I guess it's more than just somewhat. But we're going to get into that. Oh, hello, Hand of Midas. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the lyrics of Wishmaster. And the song starts like this. Master, apprentice, heart-born seventh seeker, warrior, disciple, in me the Wishmaster. So, now, before we go too much further, Thomas, the author of the song, has said, "This is my personal tribute to fantasy, especially the closest to me, Tolkien and Dragonlance. These worlds have become a sort of inverted reality for me, where the story of the Kinslayer can't become reality." So that might be another interesting song to do, is the Kinslayer. "Moreover, I don't believe in this thing called destiny. We are the masters of our own wishes, beliefs, and dreams. Whatever you desire enough, it can happen. Destiny is an excuse for those who don't have the strength to fulfill their wishes. Everything is possible, even the impossible." Alright, so now in the same bit, we're going to go over what the lyrics likely mean. The word master at the beginning is arguably about Rastlin Marger, or Marjorie, I think it's Marger. He is the main character of the Dragonlance Chronicles. He was a sickly yet very intelligent boy who became the most powerful mage in the world of Dragonlance. He has been cursed with a sight showing how time affects all things. So that's pretty messed up. I wouldn't want to see everything decaying. Apprentice, Dalamar Argent, an elf exiled for using quote-unquote evil magic. He is Raistlin's apprentice. I think it's pronounced Raistlin, actually. Heartborn. So, not entirely sure where this comes from, but it could be a reference to the Tanis Half-Elven, the leader of the Heroes of the Lance. The Heartborn might suggest that he is born of love between elf and human. So it could be one thing. Seventh Seeker. The Seekers were founded by men and women during the early days of the Age of Despair, who believed that the old gods had vanished for good. So that's part of where that comes from. Warrior. The term warrior is likely meaning Caramon Marger, Raistlin's twin brother. And because Raistlin was physically weak and gloomy, or maybe not because, but while he was physically weak and gloomy, Caramon was strong and light-hearted. Disciple. Either Dalamar, or more likely, Chrysania Tyrenius, a human cleric from the Church of Paladine. She is convinced that she can turn Raistlin from evil, presumably he's evil, I don't know, but instead she falls in love with him. And in me, the Wishmaster, is the author of the lyrics as someone who dreams about the fantasy realms. So we're already pretty deep in, and that was just the first part. That was just the first part of the lyrics. Oh, hey. I had forgotten that that spell was on cooldown. That's what happens when you spend so long talking and keeping the game on pause. So, next part. Elbereth, Lorien. Now these have their relations as well. Elbereth, in Lord of the Rings, Avala, goddess, or if you prefer, one of the Ainur, the most powerful beings created by the one god Eru. So basically, Avala, or goddess, responsible for creating stars above the world. She was the most beloved of the Ainurs and one that was the closest to humans and elves. And Lorien, in Lord of the Rings, a name of the Forged as well as the hidden within it Elvish realm. So Lorien is the name of the Elvish realm hidden within a forest of the same name. It is also the name of the Vala of Dreams, so Goddess of Dreams. So this song is less so inspired by Tolkien and Dragonlance as it is essentially cherishing it, if that makes sense. Next part of the lyrics. A dreamy-eyed child staring into night, on a journey to storyteller's mind. Whispers a wish speaks within the stars, the words are silent in him. Distant sigh from a lonely heart. I'll be with you soon, my Shalafi, Grey Haven's my destiny. So what exactly is the meaning of that? So the general message here is that the author is like the dreaming child, reading the story or speaking to the stars. But it could also be that it could also refer to the Speaker of the Stars, which is the official title of the royal firstborn child in Sylvanost, which is something that happened during the War of the Lance. The "I'll be with you soon, my Shalafi." Shalafi has a similar meaning such as sensei or master in Elvish, and it was used often by Dalamar when addressing Raistlin. So again, we've got that Dragonlance connection. Alright, that was an interesting fight. Kind of rapid switch arounds and like, no, you stay hit stunned. No, you stay hit stunned. I'm gonna shoot him! Oh, you didn't realize I had a mirror shield. Haha, fucker. Oh, hey. What do we have here? So I have the Glove of Midas, and that could funnel very well into the Mercenary's Dagger. But before I make a decision like that, I want to make sure that I either can or can't get any help from Iris. You know, Darksage, you could have used the portal and saved yourself some time. Shut up, I'm talking about lyrics. So the next part that needs explanation is Grey Haven's my destiny. In Lord of the Rings, the Grey Havens, also known as Mythland, was an elvish port city on the Gulf of Luna in the elven realm of Lindon in Middle-earth. It was a place where the elves were sailing away to the immortal realms. So again, not so much inspired by the fantasy, but more so a tribute to it. Now, the next part of the lyrics. Master, Silvara Starbreeze. Those of you who are familiar with these books will recognize what this is, but to offer explanation to those who don't know, and keep in mind, I'm learning about this secondhand. I haven't read these books myself. Oh, I'm done. Alright, Silvara. In Dragonlance, a silver dragon, often in a wild elf form. She fell in love with another elf. And Starbreeze is Alhana Starbreeze, a Sylvanesti elf, and is first introduced in Dragons of Winter Night as the daughter of the Speaker of the Stars, Lorak Kaladon. So everything is just kind of together. Oh, that was a mess. Alright, let's get through one more fight, and then I will continue on with my explanation. Excuse me. Perhaps it would be nice if one of my spells were to work. Well, I mean, she's at least willing to upgrade Bouncing Surge, that's something. And then, yeah, we'll take the Mercenary's Dagger. Alright, continuing on with the lyrics. We're not done. Slamori, the one known only by him, to august realms the sorcery within. If you hear the call of arcane lore, your world shall rest on earth no more. A maiden elf calling with her cunning song, meet me at the inn of last home. Heartborn will find the way. So let's go over that. Slamori means secret shortcut, fairy road, etc. Oh, I might have to use that in my games now that they mention fairies. In other words, this fragment means that him, the storyteller / author of the book, can show you the magic in his stories that will take you away from this world. It's pretty nice, I like that. A maiden elf calling with her cunning song, meet me at the inn of last home, Heartborn will find the way. In Dragonlance, the Inn of the Last Home is a tavern in Solace that is famous for its wonderful food and ale, as well as being the meeting place of the heroes of the Lance. It has seen several owners and a number of incarnations, but is still one of the coziest and most welcoming inns for anyone wandering through Abanasinia. I'm assuming that is the name of the realm at which Dragonlance takes place. Now it does Master one more time, and so Master, Apprentice, Heartborn, Seven Seeker, you get the idea. Wishmaster, Crusade for your will, a child, Dreamfinder, the Apprentice becoming. So what exactly does that mean? Well, they're not entirely sure. It seems like it might just be a figure of speech, or it might be a reference for the whole of the War of the Lance. At least the Crusade for your will part. A child, Dreamfinder, the Apprentice becoming. It can be interpreted in many ways. Raceland Road from Apprentice to Mastery, or the singer becoming storyteller. And then it just repeats the Master, Apprentice, Heartborn, Seventh Seeker part again. So, as you can tell, there's an awful lot going on in that song. So far, everything here is, well, not so far, because that's the end of the song, but everything in that song points to, I love these fantasy worlds, and I want to write a song all about them. And that is pretty much the entire meaning of that song. Which might seem like either self-indulgent or kind of silly to some, but I think it's fine. Not every song has to be entirely about. I don't really care about the fortune cookie. What I do care about is earning some money from this room, because this is by all rights a battle. And we're back. So now knowing all of that, I am curious as to what you guys think of the song in general. The lyrics are, again, not necessarily deeply personal, but I mean, again, I think they're it's a very heartfelt kind of like call out to these are the worlds of fantasy that I love. I'm really kind of digging the whole idea of fantasy here. Oh, and now she's finally gonna upgrade Air Spinner? Christ, why does she take so long to upgrade my stuff? I don't know if I'm going to need that, but hey, I have it. Might as well put it to some use. Oh, hello. You know what? No, we don't need to put that to use. We're just going to take the Crimson Clover, which synergizes quite well with the Dice of the Nemesis. Now, as far as the band themselves, Nightwish have had their ups and downs. No band is 100% perfect, nor does every band necessarily last forever. And I would not be surprised if some of their more recent efforts were some of their last. Especially after Marco's departure from the band, considering that he had been with them for 20 years. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean everything. But it is definitely something to say, oh, I can't do this anymore. Now, I'm not going to be discussing Marco's departure from the band in this episode, but suffice it to say that his departure wasn't necessarily the, get the fuck out, we don't like what you've become sort of thing. His departure was a more, something has changed here, not within the band, but within the music industry itself, because he wasn't just bowing out of Nightwish, he was bowing out of essentially public appearance entirely. Alright, so that is the end of that. And whereas I'm interested in the Helm of Midas, I should also point out that I don't have that much money, and I should probably not be focusing too hard on that. Simultaneously, it's not like I have anything else that's... Let's see how much money I have at the end of this fight. Of course. Alright, and... as much as I like the idea of the Gloves of Gambit or the Helm of Midas, I think it might be a better idea for me to save my money, because I don't want to run out because of the Mercenary's Dagger anytime too soon. Haha, that is what you deserve. I'll take it over Thunder Drop, but not likely to use it. Beautifully executed. Alright, not bad, not bad. Honestly, I don't need anything from here. Now, as far as my feelings on Nightwish themselves, yeah, that long open letter, just how bluntly they dismissed Tarja, and yeah, that was something, but like I said, I can't necessarily say that it's, you know, the worst thing in the world. I mean, artists oftentimes find themselves having little internal struggles with themselves and having issues even with each other, even when they've been working with each other for quite a while. It's just strange to me that it all came out so publicly like that. Like I said, this is back in 2005. At the time, I didn't know the reason for their split. But I just figured it was the usual artistic differences we moved on from. Turns out it was much more than that. And yes, I definitely see why people compare it to Yoko Ono splitting up the Beatles. So that in and of itself ended up making this one of the longer episodes of Wizard of Metal I've done. So thank you guys for sticking with me for so long. To go for a full-on like 64, 65 minutes is nothing short, and I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. Now, as of the time of the end of this recording, there will be another Wizard of Metal poll, so I want you guys to definitely vote in that and let me know which song you want to see turned into a theme run and spoken of next. Birds are already voicing their opinion, so I mean, you guys gotta get in there, otherwise I'm just gonna listen to them. So let me know what you think. Like the video, comment on it, subscribe, let me know what you think about the whole scenario. Don't forget to vote for the next form of the Wizard of Metal. And I just want to say, I do appreciate you guys coming and spending some of your free time with me. You guys have been very supportive, and I'm very interested in the builds that you guys come up with. I'm interested in having conversations. I'm genuinely pleased to have you all checking out my work. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel happy, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you very much, and I'm hoping that things continue to grow, and that I can turn this from just something that I do just on the side into something that's, you know, very profitable and ultimately more meaningful for me. I mean, a brother can't work in retail forever, but that's enough. I'm rambling. Again, thank you guys very much for the continued support and praise, and I will see you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I will be seeing you.